Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You got the Pokemon Professor here, and today I'm bringing you my Week 2 team builder for the UPBWL. I did check with the commissioner, Aaron12, and he said the U in UPBL stands for you, the subscriber, who should be dropping a sub. No, he said U stands for Ubers, which makes sense. I didn't even talk to him, but just drop a sub, man. So we are playing Fin and the Pallet Town Paladins. My man has a legitimate Ubers team. He's got the Kyurem-White, Zamazenta, Terrapagos, Scizor, Terra Gyarados, Terra Jolteon, Weezing Gattler, Incineroar, Mismagius, Sandaconda, and Mesprit. Looking at his team, I do expect the Zamazenta, the Kyurem-White, Terrapagos, either the Terra Gyarados or Jolteon, and probably the Incineroar. Could see something like the Mesprit coming to give him an Earthquake immunity, maybe Weezing Gattler or the Sandaconda. But pretty threatening team, real threatening team. So going into this week, one mon that I felt like is going to apply a lot of pressure is going to be my RIP Shea Daddy in this picture here. Running enough speed to outrun, I think like Adamant Zamazenta, maybe Modest Jolteon, something like that. And then just put the rest into bulk. I think that I can force a lot of switch-ins, so if I can get up rocks, going for something like the Shadow Ball could be really nice. Basically forcing in stuff like the Terrapagos, the Incineroar, and just making it take chip damage. We do have the Draining Kiss up there for recovery, as well as like being able to hit the Zamazenta for super effective, the Kyurem-White. And then yeah, it's kind of the name of the game, if you will. Next one, I'm bringing your girl, the Excadrill, holding the Clear Amulet Sandrush ability, EQ, SD, Rock Slide, and Iron Head. Almost max speed Jolly. With my Sandrush boost, I can outspeed Zamazenta. I get the jump on Gyarados. I get the jump on Choice Scarf Kyurem if he likes to be that, Choice Scarf Mismagius. I think pretty much everything outside of like max speed, quick feet Jolteon. Clear Amulet is here this week because I do expect the Incineroar to come for the Spectrier and Intimidate on that. Could be something like the Intimidate Gyarados, trying to bring it in on a ballsy like EQ switch in. So if I'm able to mitigate those things and just get off big damage, if I can get +2, this thing really just kind of runs through the team. But next I got Head Game, the Battle Bond Greninja. Running enough speed, 344, is that what I'm, 392? Okay, 344, my guess is that's the Mismagius speed tier. And then with extra sensory, I'm able to hit the Zamazenta for solid damage. Dark Pulse, just a good neutral move, be able to hit the Mesprit, the whatever else that may want to switch into a water/psychic move. And then Water Shuriken, priority is going to be nice. Be able to pick up a KO that way and get my Battle Bond and just fire off big surfs, things like that. Looking at this set, I don't necessarily hit the Kyurem-White for super effective damage, but if I can get +1, one dark pulse flinch away, and that could be GG's. Next, I got the AV Kaiju. Today, Junior. But I'm playing Kyurem-White. I gotta have AV T-Tar. And so being able to take those hits and kind of shrug it off. We're max Videf, pretty bulky in my HP, and then running again kind of special. I do have the knockoff there to mitigate switch-ins, and then Detail is going to be there for something like setup, whether that be the Zamazenta and he's not running sub, or the Gyarados and he's trying to set up in my face kind of thing. Maybe he's the Grass Terra this week because he could be Grass, Ground, or Flying on the Gyarados. Being able to detail that thing out could be huge. Earth Power, maybe he tries to be a fast Incineroar, go for a Will-O-Wisp, something like that on one of his mons. Earth Power hits a lot of stuff for some solid damage. And then Power Gem's just really nice, obviously, being able to hit the Kyurem, the Gyarados, Jolteon, things like that. But one big thing for my game plan this week is going to be getting rocks up. I want chip damage. If he wants to not run boots on things like a Kyurem or the Gyarados or even the Incineroar, being able to chip those things every time we force a switch in is going to be massive. Moonblast is pretty free against his team, and especially with my Babiri Berry, we are unaware, so we can ignore things like Iron Defense from the Zamazenta, Gyarados setting up. Moonblast can hit everything for either super effective or just some neutral damage, and then Flamethrower is there for the Scizor. We have 44 in our speed, so we get the jump on no speed invested Scizor. I mean, it could be BP and get the priority, but we had the Babiri Berry. So if I'm able to catch that thing off guard on what he thinks is going to be a slow U-turn and pick up a KO, or, he reveals to be AV, we just get some knowledge and apply some pressure early on. And then the last mon's going to be my Spanish 2, the Zapdos. Static, heavy duty boots, real straightforward, bulky, come in any kind of physical attack. Weather Ball is going to be there with the rock in case he is Terrafly on the Gyarados. Being able to hit anything that may want to switch into a Hurricane, such as a Kyurem-White. Just really kind of chip away, pepper at those things. Running pretty decent speed here, and I think that is going to be for the... I can't say Miss Magus, I don't even know. Maybe max speed Gyarados. Why? I don't know. I really don't. Or maybe, yeah, it's got to be Gyarados. And then Hurricane, U-turn, Roost. Very obvious. Come in, take a hit, get a static, U-turn out, Roost away some chip damage, and just be a nuisance for my opponent's team. So yeah, like I said, I will catch you guys in the match. Peace. Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for my Week 2 match of the Ubers League. Looking at my opponent's team, they do elect to bring a lot of the stuff we expected. The Kyurem-White, the Terra Gyarados, Scizor, Terrapagos, Sandaconda, and Incineroar. So if I'm able to chip down the Terrapagos and the Incineroar, I think Spectrier goes in. We've got great coverage. We can hit a lot of things for super effective damage. And that's kind of my thought process with this. So I know I want rocks early on. I like to lead my Pink Panther. Matches up pretty well against everything that he wants to lead. If anything has to get glared from the Sandaconda, I'd rather it be that. Could be Zapdos because, electric type, and that may be something I switch out into. But damn it, we're here to apply pressure. And we get up rocks because that's the way we roll. So I lead Panther as my opponent elects to lead Incineroar. So not a bad lead. We know we can take something like a knockoff. I don't necessarily want to lose my Babiri Berry, but if it gets rocks up, so be it. And I can take a Flare Blitz, Parting Shot, U-turn if that's what he elects to rock anyway. So I just go for the Stealth Rock turn 1. And here my opponent reveals Fake Out. He got Fake Out. So I went for rocks again. He got some chip damage on me. But once I saw Fake Out, I thought maybe this thing is AV. Granted, Fake Out could have been there to just kind of stall out some turns for Sand. And as he reveals the Parting Shot, turn 2, that's what my thought process is. But I wanted rocks. I think they're going to go really far in this game if I can keep them up. And damn it. Yeah. So he goes for the Parting Shot. We're -1, but we're here more for defensive purposes. And I have the coverage to be able to drop a big Moonblast off on something or switch out depending on what he wants to go out into. And he actually likes to go out into the Scizor. Now, I am Babiri Berry. I know I can take an Adamant Choice Band hit from this health, and I'm actually running enough speed to outrun 0 speed invested Scizor. So if I can surprise him and go for the U-turn as he tries to get off like a big slow U-turn, that's going to be massive. And as you can see, that's exactly what it is. Massive. As we even get a big burn off on this thing. So first 2 turns, shit's looking pretty tight. Pretty tight. But yeah, we get rocks up. We get a big burn on Scizor. And we're here to just apply pressure. But as you're about to see, my opponent actually goes out into their Terrapagos. And we do see that they are heavy-duty boots. But because they went out hard in the Terrapagos, fearing something like a T-Wave or anything like that, it makes me think that he's going to try to pressure the spin. And he really wants those things off the field to where he can switch into his other mons pretty freely. So I'm a little aggressive here. I'm actually trying to decide, do I go Kaiju to take a hit if he tries to predict the RIP Shay or the Spectrier? But looking at the damage calc, I actually just go hard Spectrier because it is a 2-hit KO if he's something like Modest Dark Pulse. But looking at the damage calc, if I go for the Draining Kiss, I can actually recover back enough health to where they are not able to make it a 2-hit KO. I would make it a 3-hit KO. And at this point, this is where I realize the damage calc for Terapagos is fucked up. I don't know if it's the calc itself doesn't show the Terra shield ability or whatever. But looking at it, I do way less than what I'm reading the damage calc. Now, I know I'm not anything crazy, and I know he could have some bulk in there, but in my little 20-30 seconds of time in the match, I just was dumbfounded. And this is where I realized that Terra Shell didn't come into play. So I don't know what was going on there, but I knew I fucked up. I knew I fucked up whenever they pick up the 2-hit KO on my RIP Shay. Now, granted, I was aggressive, right? But I stand behind being aggressive because I wouldn't have been as aggressive should I have realized that Terra Shell thing was wrong. But we keep our chin held high. You know, we gonna thug it out. we gonna take one for the team, if you will. But at this point, I realized, like, oh, this is not looking good because Spectrier was, it was a win con. So I'm trying to think of other ways to really position myself, and I realized that I'm going to have to rely on that drill. So here, I'm trying to decide. I don't think he necessarily wants to stay in because he's shown the Dark Pulse. Granted, he could try to get off a Rapid Spin, but I think knockoff's my best play because I knock this off, I get good damage, or I knock off something that wants to come in. And my man just went straight up for the Rapid Spin. So I go for the knockoff. I get rid of this thing's heavy-duty boots. And this is where I sighed because I realized, like, I could have just went Kaiju first, taken whatever hit, even the Rapid Spin, and we would have broken that shield, and shit would have been okay. Shit would have been okay. So, looking at everything, trying to see what kind of damage I can get off. He does go for that Earth Power, and we eat that, right? We eat that. So I fire off a big power gem, just trying to wear this thing down a little bit. Granted, I did show that I have the rock coverage for like a Terraflying Gyarados. But here, I expect my opponent to want to be like, he's revealed to me that he really does not want rocks up. So I again get aggressive because if I'm playing from behind, which I am at this point, I can't expect to win playing passive. I know I need rocks up. I've gotten the boots taken off this thing. So if he tries to preserve it and not let this go down because Panther's so full and Clefable had already gotten up rocks so consistently already. I say consistently, motherfucker just got it at one turn. But I pull an aggressive double, trying to go out into my Clefable, expecting him to go out into something else, wanting to not let this thing go down. I'm expecting like, okay, I've got enough health to where I can switch back in and maybe try to Rapid Spin him away or whatever. So I go for the Clefable play here, and dude just stays in. He clicks Earth Power. I can't knock the guy. It worked for him. And I understand in theory, you're getting some chip damage off on T-Tar, so Kyurem can kind of get a field day. But it didn't work. Like, it didn't fucking work. It worked for him. It didn't work for me because I have to let Clefable go down. And it's not looking good for your hero. I'm down 2 Mons to none. 2 Mons to none. And I'm forced to go Excadrill because he's +1 speed. So I need to take this thing out without really letting anything else fuck me. So trying to get an idea of his team. Could see Sandaconda come in, could see whatever. And I just like to go hard for the Iron Head. The reason being is because, if he does go Gyarados, it doesn't do me any good to try to go for the Rock Slide this turn. I could miss, and then I don't want to die to an Earth Power. And then I could click, Rock Slide the following turn. And it just seemed free to go for the Iron Head. So sand is down. My hopes are down. My dreams are down. But god damn it, do we have spirit. And Yeah, I will always have spirit. I don't know. I felt like Christopher Walken. I felt like there was a long dramatic pause there for no reason. But the homie goes Incineroar, I'm sure trying to get the Intimidate off. And as you see, we are the clear amulet, so no big deal. And here, I'm like, can I set up an SD? Or does he bot me with something else? And my thought process was, well, I don't want to set up an SD. I don't know if he is Scarf on the Kyurem-White. So I'm just trying to get an idea as to what I can do. Do go out into the Zapdos. And the reason being is because once he saw that I wasn't intimidated, he's either going to try to stay in and go for something like a Flare Blitz to get some big damage off on me and really just prevent me from setting up for free or anything like that. Or if he goes for another move like a knockoff, then maybe I can get a static off. No such luck. No such luck. But instead we do hit a big Hurricane. And in fact, we get a Confusion. So I'm like, all right, I can work with this. When in doubt, hacks it out. You know what I'm saying? When in doubt, hacks it out. But, you know, my opponent said the same shit apparently. So they're able to parting shot out. Goes back to Grayson. And here, you know, we don't have rocks. Sorry, that was another long pause. I just got finished teaching today, and fuck those kids, dude. They drain your mental. They just, can I have this? Can I have me? Ugh. Anyway, the homie goes out into Gyarados. And at here, he has a possibility of being Terra Ground, Terra Grass, and Terra Flying. So because he went out into it, I was expecting him to be Terra Ground. And I just fire off a Hurricane because I could get a Confusion, right? I could get some damage off. He doesn't know if I have anything like a Volt Switch or a Discharge or even a T-Wave on Zapdos. He could also go for an attack and then get paired that way. So I felt that that was pretty free. And he likes to go for the DD. Wasn't Intimidate, so he is Moxie, and at +1 speed, +1 attack, I'm like, fuck me, did I just lose? Did I just lose? Sane's not up, so I can't go free out into Drill. We got to try to pressure this thing and go Kaiju, I think. Do I have to stay in here and try to get something like a static off? Either way, my thought was I can't necessarily just straight up let Zapdos go down if that's what's happening. Because he's going to be needed later on, and I don't want to stay in and try to go for like a slow U-turn as I take something like a Terra Flying, Terra Blast, or a possible Stone Edge or Rock Slide or whatever kind of random coverage Gyarados gets. My opponent says, suck it, bitch. I'm going +2/+2. I don't care if you're a Zapdos. I'm Terra Fly Gyarados. And here, looking at my damage calc, you know, depending if he's max HP, Power Gem, it may not be the move. I don't know if he's Charty Berry. I didn't have rocks up. So I just go for the detail. I'm going to force that thing out. If I live, I don't live. He picks up the KO. He's +2 speed, +3 attack. So my only play at this point is going Drill. And that's what I do. I go Drill, and I've got to go for the Rock Slide. I've got to be able to hit this thing hard. And I need to pick up a KO or a flinch. So I click the Rock Slide. I say my little dear base god, dear little Boozy, please kill this motherfucker. Kill him. And as you're about to see, Lil Boozy was listening. Lil Boozy was listening. Amen. So we pick up the KO on the Gyarados. Thank God, right? Thank God that thing goes down. And it's not looking too bad for your boy. The big thing that I have to worry about is that I no longer have Sand. So if he is going to be something on the Choice Scarf, you know, the best he could lock himself into is going to be something like Choice Scarf Draco, Choice Scarf Earth Power. And then I'm going to be able to kind of play around that in other ways. But I can't really, I got to be smart. And he goes Sandaconda here. And my thought process is, okay, does he try to get up rocks to pressure the Zapdos, break a sash on Greninja? Does he go for something like the EQ to try to pick off the drill if I get greedy? Not entirely for sure. Or even something like a glare to try to neuter me. So ultimately, I know I need drill to apply the offensive pressure, or else I'm just not breaking through his team with as many mons as he has left. So he does click glare, and it works out for me. And we have Zapdos back at like half, I guess, is the best way. Yeah. And from here, I don't want to go for a roost and then allow him the slow EQ and pick me off that way. So I just fire off a Hurricane. And Big Zapdos fucking delivered. And not only that, Big Zapdos dodged. So the homie was able to get that like double combo. Now granted, looking back at this, maybe if I had died and been able to go out into something like my Greninja and go for the Water Shuriken and, you know, get my little boosty boost off, that may have been the move too, but it didn't happen. It just didn't happen. So I go for another Hurricane because it would pick up the KO on Sandaconda as he goes Scizor. And I actually miss the Hurricane, but that works out better. The reason why I say that is because this thing's burn. So even if he tries to SD, I'm going to be pretty close to full after this roost. And here we're about to see he actually elects to click the whatchamajig, the quick attack. And I go from 155 to 104. And I'm able to roost this thing off. And I think I'm sitting pretty here, right? And then this happens. So once this happens and we DC, this is where I go to Showdown. And I'll be right back. So here, this is where it just is kind of an unfortunate situation of us. Once we DC'd, I didn't look at the calc because it was more like, fuck, am I going to have to try to recreate this and try to catch a burn on Scizor and things like that? As you see, the Scizor actually lived and he would have had one more attack off. So because like I offered, why don't you just hold the Flame Orb and go for like something to make sure you get burned? Then he revealed to be banded. And in my mind, it's like, well, how can we recreate it? And we were okay with like him sacking it off and me being at full for a roost or whatever. And then we played this part off like this would have been what happened. I got up to full with Zapdos as Scizor died to the burn the next turn. And I go for a Hurricane as Kyurem-White comes in and reveals the DD. He clicks Freeze Dry, picks up the KO. I gotta go Grin, try to double out into the drill as he clicks Freeze Dry, and like I really got no other play, you know, because he's able to go for the Freeze Dry and just go through my team. So looking at it, it was easy to say after the game, like if I could have seen the damage calc, I could have went maybe into my drill as he died on the Scizor to the next quick attack. And then I had the Iron Head for the Kyurem if he went for it. I could have got a flinch. He does reveal to be bulky, so he did live. But even if I didn't get a flinch, I would have had the Water Shuriken in the back for the for this thing. Sorry, brain fart. Water Shuriken would have been able to pick up the Sandaconda and the Incineroar at that point. And it just kind of is what it is, man. Trying to redo these things from Wi-Fi and then finish on Showdown, like it just was a pain, and we weren't going to sit here and try to redo this shit for a hot minute. He revealed to me that he was banded, and I just didn't feel fair in saying, well, this is like the way that it didn't feel right. I didn't know. So I told him that I would go Zapdos and like be okay with being back at full and shit. And I'd like to say, obviously, that I would have looked at the damage calc and been like, oh, I need to go Excadrill. Because I do feel like I was playing kind of shitty at the beginning, but was able to kind of play around a little bit and bring myself back into the game towards the end. And it just is unfortunate that we didn't get to see it through the way it would have went. Because you know me, I'm a fucking dog, bro. I would have swore that I would have won that shit. But it is what it is. No big deal. GG's to Finn, and I appreciate being able to work around shit like that. It's not his fault, not my fault. But you bet your ass I'm going to sit here and take my time typing out my messages on Discord next time before I have to redo some shit. But with that, we're 1-1. And, we're going to try to bounce back. We're going to hold our head up high and, keep talking to Lil Boozy. So I will catch you guys for week number 3. Peace.